like cars. I especially like supercars. I'm not saying the C5 is a supercar, okay? Don't kill me in the comments. Unfortunately for me, I was a fool and spent all my money on a cheap 200,000 mile Corvette, so now all I have is rocks for money, so I have to figure out something else. Luckily, there's a company out there called DDR Motorsport in Florida, and they make a supercar kit car for the C5 Corvette that turns it into a component race car, which is great. And I'm gonna finally have what I can truly call a supercar. I'm just gonna have to build it myself. In case you guys needed further proof that inflation's going up and the pay gap is going wider, the cost to build it yourself does not really mitigate the front end purchase price as much as I'd like. For just a body and shell, it's $30,000. You're just not that rich, and I do not have motion like that, you know? I do not have that motion right now. But this right here is gonna change it all. This is my free 1999 Jeep Cherokee. It's an XJ for those of you Jeep enthusiasts. And I got this car for free. Now I know what you're saying. Nothing, especially in this economy, is free. And you are right. There's always some sort of catch. So the catch with how I was able to get this thing for free was it was abandoned in my grandparents' yard because it used to be one of their daily drivers. And they didn't drive it anymore. Instead, if all I did was get it running, that I could drive it and then sell it, and then whatever I sell for a profit, I get half of, and I just give them half of the profit. This is actually really smart on their part though, because it incentivizes me to do as much work as I can, to sell for as much as I can, while they do nothing and they still get some profit out of it. For me, it's at my house now, which is 300 miles away from my grandparents, and it wasn't that hard to get starting. It just needed a battery. We got some fresh tires. It needed some fluids topped off and a couple other things. However, the difference between running and driving and being worthy to sell are quite different. Really hard to see, but this side, the shock is a little lower. The shock is kind of worn on this side. If you take an entrance into the luxurious cabin, it's going to need a very, very thorough detailing. And the driver's window switch or regulator, I'm not sure which one it is, does not work. Actually, I think it's an electrical issue because I did at one point get the window to roll down and up, but I have not been able to do it since. However, the engine itself also has a few problems. As you guys can see, there is a considerable amount of oil seepage on top and all the way throughout the entire engine block. Every single gasket on this thing for the most part is leaking, so we're gonna get a gasket set. I've never actually replaced gaskets. I have torn apart and repaired an engine. I've never taken apart an engine for the purpose of replacing gaskets, so that's gonna be fun to do. Need a new cap for the coolant as it looks like it's leaking a little bit under high pressure. Although it looks okay, the serpentine belt is very squeaky. I gotta say, the squeak has gone away a little bit ever since I've started driving it more regularly, but we definitely need to check that out. We also might need to replace the air filter. We're for sure gonna need to replace the cabin air filter. Luckily, the AC and heat actually worked really, really good on this. We're gonna go ahead and replace that belt anyways because it came with a free new belt in the trunk when I got it home. I found that and I was like, yo, free belt. So there's nothing like finding free car parts. And then also, if you guys take a look at the exterior, the paint is extremely, extremely rough, sun faded, and clear coat has long gone, sailed across the 7 seas and left us behind with just some bare paint and some places bare metal. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn to paint this car for the very first time in history. It's raining right now, so the rain makes it look a little nicer than it really is, but it's really quite rough. Also, there's an exhaust leak somewhere. Hopefully it's just a clamp. I'd like to not pay for any exhaust tubing, but if we have to, that's what we have to do. Look on into the luxurious interior cabin. We have a check engine light on the dash and a low washer fluid light. Low washer fluid light is actually, it's all out of low washer fluid. However, it seems to go through the low washer fluid very quickly. So I think that we either have a bad sensor, a bad pump, or the most likely cause is there's a hole or a puncture somewhere in the tank. As far as the check engine light goes, it's the Bank 1 O2 sensor, so again, a really easy fix. And honestly, mechanically, this thing is pretty sound. Mechanically, by far the most expensive part to fix is going to be this shock that has worn itself out And honestly, I could buy new shocks for a couple $100, or for $300 I could get a full 3-inch lift kit for this thing. I think that'd be a lot more fun. It would increase the value a little bit since the people that are still buying these cars are off-road enthusiasts. And the biggest cherry on top about this whole car is the fact that it only has 80,000 miles. It only had 79,000 miles when I picked it up. I thought I was screwed for a second, but I wasn't. The final issue is the brake pedal is a bit spongy. So we're for sure gonna need to bleed and flush the brake system. Hopefully we don't need new brakes, because again, that's not fun. It's never fun to pay for more than what you want to pay for. If we have to, we will though, because I want to make this a perfect car for the other person, because I'm hoping to get several thousand out of it for me and several thousand out of it for my grandparents, since it has such low mileage and is relatively perfect. Especially we can get this thing resprayed and all taken care of. We're also gonna get new aftermarket headlights, and you guys might be saying this is all overkill and I'm an idiot who has never flipped a car before, but you're wrong. I'm gonna learn the most from is putting on this massive, probably 73 millimeter Garrett turbo. It was a like 69 millimeter, but the compression housing has been upgraded, so now it's literally the size of my head. I've never turboed a car before, but a company just started making turbo manifolds for this Jeep XJ 4-liter. So I'm pretty much all set there. We're gonna get HP tuners and tune this thing properly, and hopefully give it a couple pounds of boost. We're not gonna go crazy because it doesn't have forged internals, but these iron 4-liter blocks can handle about 8 pounds of boost, actually completely safely, and they can honestly probably handle more, but I don't want to push it. Also, it's starting to rain, so let's take it inside. Now that we're inside, I want to leave you guys with a blessing before I let you guys go. Recently, I was reading Isaiah 38, which is all about Isaiah's poem of gratitude. Isaiah 38 and 39, I believe. And it is such an encouraging word of scripture, and it really just reminds us we need to be giving thanks to the Lord, not just in the midst of the good things, but also in the midst of the hard times, like when my transmission went out on my Corvette. More than anything in this video, I just hope that this video encourages you to go and read that scripture. And we got a lot of exciting things coming to the channel. The Cobalt SS engine swap that's been taking us almost over a year should be dropping in next week's video for the hopeful first start of that. I'm really excited for that. It's by far my most footage for a singular video. I don't know how I'm going to put it together all yet, but I do know it's probably going to be one of my best videos yet. So I hope you stick around to see that, and if not, I just hope that you crack open the word and remember that you are always blessed, and remember to dwell on that blessing, and I'll see you guys next week on Covenant Garage.